Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. Chapter 32, in which Phileas Fogg engages in direct struggle with ill luck. China, in leaving, seemed to have carried away her Phileas Fogg's last hope. In fact, none of the other steamers in direct service between America and Europe, neither the French transatlantic steamers, nor the ship of the White Star Line, nor those of the Inman Company, nor those of the Hamburg Line, nor any other could serve the gentleman's project. And the period of the French Atlantic Company would not start until the 14th of December, and besides, like those of the Hamburg Company, she would not go directly to Liverpool or London, but to Havre, and this additional trip to Havre to Southampton, delaying Phileas Fogg, and would have rendered his last efforts of no avail. The gentleman posted himself thoroughly about all this day by consulting his Bradshaw, which gave him, day by day, the movements of the transoceanic vessel. Passepartout was annihilated. It killed him to miss the steamer by 35 minutes. It was his fault. He who, instead of aiding his master, had not ceased to scatter obstacles in his way. And when he reviewed in his mind all the incidents of the journey, when he calculated the sums spent, which were a pure loss, and for his own interest, and when he thought that this enormous bet, added to the heavy expenses of this now useless journey, would completely ruin Mr. Fogg, he had overwhelmed himself with opprobrium. Mr. Fogg did not reproach him at all. In leaving the pier of the ocean steamers, he only said these words: "We will consent tomorrow. Come." Mr. Fogg, Mrs. Aouda, Fix, and Passepartout crossed the Hudson from Jersey City in the ferry boat, and got into a carriage which took them to St. Nicholas Hotel, on the Broadway. The rooms were put at their disposal, and the night passed, a very short one for Phileas Fogg, who slept soundly, but very long for Miss Aouda and her companions, whose agitation did not allow them to rest. The next day was the 12th of December, and from the 12th at 7 in the morning to the 21st, at 8:45 in the evening, there remained 9 days, 13 hours, and 45 minutes. If then Phileas Fogg had left the night before in China as one of the best sailors of the Cunard Line, he would have arrived at Liverpool, then in London, in the desired time. Phileas Fogg left the hotel alone, having recommended his servant to wait for him, and to notify Mrs. Aouda to hold herself in readiness at any moment. Mr. Fogg repaired to the banks of Hudson, and, among the ships moored to their wharf, or anchored in the steam, he sought with care those who were about to leave. Several vessels had their signals for departure up and were preparing to put at sea at the morning high tide, and for this immense admirable port there is not a day when 100 vessels do not set sail for every quarter of the globe. But most of them were sailing vessels, and they would not suit Phileas Fogg. This gentleman was seeming to fail in his attempt, when he perceived, moored in the front of the battery, a cable length at most, a merchantman, with screws, one of outlines, whose smokes that emitting clouds of smoke indicated that she was preparing to sail. Phileas Fogg hailed a boat, got it in, and with a few strokes of the oar he found himself at the ladder of the Henrietta, an iron-hulled steamer with her upper plates of wood. And the captain of Henrietta was on board. Phileas Fogg went up on deck and asked for the captain, who presented himself immediately. He was a man 50 years old, and short, a sort of sea-wolf, a grumbler who would not be very accommodating. His large eyes, his complexion, oxidized copper, his red hair, his large chest and shoulders, indicated nothing of his appearance of a man of the world. The captain asked Phileas Fogg, "I am he. I am Phileas Fogg of London, and I am Andrew Speedy of Cardiff. You are going to start in an hour, and you are loaded for Bordeaux. In your cargo, gravel in the hold. I have no aid. I sail in the ballast. You have passengers? No passengers. Never had passengers. A merchandise that's in the way in reason. Your vessel sails swiftly, between 11 and 12 knots. The Henrietta is well known. And you wish to convey me to Liverpool myself in 3 persons? To Liverpool? Why not to China? I said Liverpool. No, no. No, I am sending out for Bordeaux. I shall go to Bordeaux. It doesn't matter what price. It doesn't matter what price. The captain spoke in a tone which he did not admit of a reply. But the owners of the Henrietta, replied Phileas Fogg. The owners of the Henrietta are myself, replied the captain. The vessel belongs to me. I will freight it for you. No. No? I'll buy it from you." Phileas Fogg did not change countenance, but the situation was serious. It was not at New York as at Hong Kong, nor with the captain of the Henrietta as with the captain of Tangier. Upon the present, the gentleman's money had overcome obstacles. This time the money failed. This means of the crossing the Atlantic in the vessel must be found, unless they went across in a balloon, which would have been very venturesome, and which besides was not practical. Phileas Fogg, however, appeared to an idea, for he said to Captain, "Well, will you take me to Bordeaux?" "No, even if you pay me $200. I'll offer you 2,000 for each person. For each person. There are four of you. Four." Captain Speedy commenced to scratch his forehead as if he would tear the skin off. $8,000 to be made without changing his course. It was well worth the trouble of putting aside, he decided, antipathy for every kind of passenger. Passengers at $2,000 apiece, besides, no longer passengers but valuable merchandise. I leave at 9 o'clock," said Captain Speedy simply, "and you and yours will be there?" "At 9 o'clock we will be on board," simply replied Phileas Fogg. In half past eight, to land from the Henrietta and to get a carriage, repair to the St. Nicholas Hotel, and take back with him Mrs. Auda, Passepartout, and even the inseparable Fix, to whom he graciously offered the passage, and this was all done by the gentleman with the quiet which never deserted him under any circumstance. At the moment that the Henrietta was ready to sail, all four were aboard, and when Passepartout learned what this last voyage would cost, he uttered one of those prolonged "ohs" which run through all space in descending chromatic scale. As for Detective Fix, he said to himself that the Bank of England would not come out whole from this affair. In fact, at the time of their arrival, and admitting that this Mr. Fogg would not throw a few handfuls besides into the sea, more than £7,000 would be missing from the bank notes in the travelling bag.